Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Today, Monday, January 30th. I'm just about finished with the 2005 songs list. Been laboring over the stupid thing. Visiting a lot of albums. It's like, just to choose one song or three songs per album, while it's like an easy sort of set of rules, it just doesn't always define like what are the best songs. And so it's very nostalgic. Anyway, I'm hoping I'll have that tomorrow. Tomorrow, the Tuesday, one of the next couple of days. And I can go on to some other stuff. So I'm going to instead do my... This is just a vague, and I've talked about a lot of this stuff, vague preview for 2023. Just what's gone on. So looking at January, these are the albums that have come out. The Features album I've listened to a couple times. This is not Matt Mahaffey's music, but this is an album that came out from 1999 that this band, The Features, before they had released any albums, they're from his area in Tennessee, they recorded with him. It's pretty good. It's power pop. I mean, it has its limitations for me, but at the same time, I mean, I've heard worse power pop, and it's not bad. I don't know by the end of the year where it'll end up, but I'm glad that they got it out. So Belle and Sebastian, they're a band that and the guys that Taste Like Music did a whole thing on them. Talked about this album. This album was mentioned, I think, in their, I forget what it was they were doing within the last week and a half. Anyway, they're a band that maybe it was on just social media. They talked about that. No, they reviewed it. That I've always wanted to like. I was at a Muse concert in 2006, the one time I really saw Muse, and there was someone who was obsessed with them there, and I was talking about them, and it's like chamber folk music. They've got a large catalog, and I should like them, but I've never heard one song that just totally floored me. On paper, I don't mind the vocal style or anything, but anyway, I might check it out. It came out on the 13th of January. Riverside Identity, I'm still on the fence about that, although they're coming here in March, but based on budget and stuff like that, I don't know if I'm going to end up making it. But I'm not that big of a Riverside fan. I had the one ADHD on my prog metal list, but I know a lot of people are talking about this record anyway. That came out on January 20th, so then last Friday you had Kimbra's album, A Reckoning, which I've not listened to once all the way through, slightly in the background at points. Listen to some of the singles, and the hip hop element, the R&B hip hop element is a little not R&B. R&B makes sense, but the hip hop and rap, the guest raps, even though it's not gangster inner city rap as much, it's on 2 or 3 songs. Some of it is really quite good though. Some of it's a little electronic pop. Some of it's a natural continuation from her last record, Primal Heart, which I like, but I didn't like nearly as much as the previous two, so I'm lukewarm about it. I'm going to listen to it a few more times. Maybe I'll do a separate review this week, probably. But I'm the latter half of it, I think, is better than the first half, although I like Replay, one of the first singles. E-Molecule, that record I know has been buzzed about a little bit. I haven't heard it. I know they'll talk about it, but in the prog rocks, a lot of the YouTube channels, especially Scott from the Prog Corner, I know, I think Notes Reviews also has talked about it anyway. That's another one of note. So February, this week, there's going to go on sale NRG, the Kevin Gilbert's first band, the first pressings of his vinyl. They haven't sold them all. They're going to put them back on sale in packages for a little bit less money on Wednesday. So that's sort of a weird release. It's not a new album, but the Winery Dogs, 3... their third album, Mike Portnoy's power trio of hard rock, 70s influence. Haven't heard the singles, but I probably will check it out though. I've only liked Winery Dogs to a point. They're also coming here in March. I'd like to see them, but again, it's not my first choice for Mike Portnoy, but I still might be interested in seeing them. And then Black Belt, Eagle Scout, The Land, the Water, the Sky. I've actually listened to some of the singles today, and I really liked it. This is Catherine Paul from previously of Genders and Forest Park, who I loved, but she's been doing this project for almost 10 years now. This might be her best record. I like the debut of the second album, technically. a fair amount, and then the one that came out a few years ago I was only lukewarm about, but I'm liking this one more. It's kind of like a Mazzy Star thing, but the guitar textures are great, dreamy and very spacey and trippy. I'm going to stop here for a minute. I'm going to be right back, hopefully. All right, part 2. Take 2. That's something come up. Anyway, so moving on to March. Genesis has like the BBC broadcast coming out March 3rd. It was announced a new U2 album. I don't know a lot about this, but I just saw on the calendar on the 23rd of March. Isan, progressive black metal, a new EP called Fascination Street Sessions. Nea Bliviscaris, progressive, death metal with violin and stuff like that. This is, I think, their 4th album, Exul. I will check it out, but I've got reservations about the way they use blast beats, unfortunately. I just don't enjoy their music. I put the City in Color album on here, and Deerhoof. Deerhoof has so many albums, and I like a few of them. City in Color is Johnson. Dallas Johnson? Not Dallas Johnson. Dallas Green, rather. Who sounded so great on that song The Grace from Never Ending White Lights, and covering Kimbra's... of course, he's part of Lexus on Fire too. Kimbra's Settled Down. So good. The New Pornographers, I mentioned that on the blog last week, the video blog. Continue as a guest. Again, I would revisit them. There's some bands that I used to like that I mean go back to and see if something might have changed. We got our kitty is going to go find a new location. Metallica has 72 Seasons on April 14th, and then Jethro Tull's Rock Float. I didn't even listen to the Jethro Tull album Zealot Gene last year, but May has Sparks. The Girl is Crying in Her Latte. They have a ton of albums, Sparks. I like the documentary on them. I like their music, but I don't know. I think the last time they had a new album, I checked it out, and I was sort of underwhelmed, but people that love them will definitely be checking it out. And then, of course, Peter Gabriel's I/O, which comes out, it's going to be coming out every full moon, a new song or something, so by the end of the year, probably, after 20-some-odd years waiting for the thing. 21, it'll be 21 years. Anyway, so, okay, confirmed titles, John Anderson's Songs of Zamran, O Son of Elias. This is the sequel, supposedly, of Elias at the Hill. Hopefully it comes out. They've been talking about this for ages, for my friend John Costello, and a lot of the huge fanatical John Anderson and Yes fans have been anticipating. Anyway, that's one that's a big deal if it comes out. The trailer, there's some extensive trailers online. They sound really good. And I love Elias at the Hill, the original from 1976. Danny Kavanaugh, assuming things are smoothed over, may still put out this album Cellar Door, which we've talked about for a few years now. The Deer Hunters, Sunya, as I said, this might be more like 2024 based on what's happened with production of Antimai, with vinyl and a lot of stuff, the frustrations they've got. But instead, we may end up getting the live Act 1 and Act 2 vinyl. So they did those performances that I ended up paying to see on that access to their Pillar, or whatever it's called, their Pillar. I'm looking forward to that. They're going to be on vinyl, so I can't see not getting those just because I love the Deer Hunter so much, of course. DK, the drummer, is Darren King, formerly of Mute Math, his album Lockers Volume 1. I know he puts out songs. The last couple of years he's putting songs up, but this is supposedly his album. I don't know. Hopefully it's like an EP maybe. I'm looking forward to it regardless. I know he had... what's his name? The guy who played with... He's done a bunch of collaborations. My wife is going to kill me because I can't remember his name. I subscribe to him on YouTube, but he's played with Maroon 5, but his main gig, he's a solo artist. PJ Morton. PJ Morton might be on one of the songs on that. I know he's done some collaborations with PJ Morton, Darren King. Anyway, I'm not expecting it to be exactly like Mute Math, but a couple of the songs he put up the last years are pretty damn good, so... the Caviar Sessions vinyl, and then a new CD. Now, this is sort of lumped in. I think it's part of the KMG Archive series, but the vinyl part isn't. But both of those are coming out this year in the next few months. The Archive series are coming out next month. We just don't have an actual release date. But so we got, between that and the NRG, we got a bunch of stuff on Kevin Gilbert's estate coming in the next couple weeks. Klimt 1918's Amor, the first album they've put out in a number of years. The last record, unfortunately, was a pretty big disappointment after I bought the extended edition, Sentimental Jugen. But I really enjoy their second album, their first couple albums, actually. Their third album just So soundtrack for the cassette, just in case we'll never meet again. I've never been able to fully get into that album, but I like some of it. So I'm hoping this is more in that style and not in sort of the noisy gothic element of like industrial element of their previous record, Sentimental Jugend. Big German influence on that record, but I don't know. We'll see. It's been 4 or 5. That record they spent many years making. Paul Meany of Mute Math, also his debut solo album, Motivational Speaker. I'm thinking will be more of the Mute Math ilk, of course, than the Darren King record, but I think it's supposed to come out this year. I'm really looking at the trailer that he posted a few months, last summer, I think, last fall, makes me really excited for that. Moron Police, Pachinko, they're going to put a double album. Their last record got a lot of buzz. Unfortunately, it's, has a little bit of a slight on it because of the fact that their drummer Thor passed away. But it's sort of an homage and a tribute in some ways to him, and they got one of his favorite drummers to play on it. Anyway, Moron Police they've become a progressive rock band, very poppy, catchy, happy, almost goofy progressive. They were initially like a prog metal band, but they still were goofy at that times. Anyways, I'm still looking for it. A lot of people are going to go crazy for it. They love that last record of theirs, Boat on the Sea. It was like 2019, I think. Fido, Automato, Animus is supposed to come out in the fall. That's another record a lot of the prog scene are going to go crazy of. I like Doomsday Afternoon. I'm never but floored by Fido, although I appreciate his position as a musician, doing the music he does while still doing work in Hollywood, a little bit like Matt Mahaffey and some other folks that make their living that way. But I'll probably end up checking this out at least. I don't know how much I'm going to be my expectations for it, but I know people like Notes Reviews and some of their folks are obsessed with Fido. I think Rhyme Signatures as well. So anyway, Automoto, Animus. The first song I didn't listen to. I know it was posted. He posted like a demo in effect of one of the songs, but it's not going to be probably coming out till like November. Or the fall time. The Polyphonic Spree Salvage Enterprise. I hope this is the year that it comes out. I know they played, I think it in full, in like a live synchronization of some video or film or something. But they haven't put out an album in many years. But the guys do other things, I guess. Tim DeLaughter included. But I'm a pretty reasonable Polyphonic Spree fan. I love the chamber rock stuff, and they were one of the, not the forebears, but one of the earliest bands that did that kind of stuff, along with Sufjan Stevens and Anathello. Anyway, Polyphonic Spree, Salvage Enterprise, and then Stephen Wilson's the Harmony Codex, so that's from confirmed titles. Steven, that album's going to come out, I don't question that. But in fact, the book I got, which I haven't read yet, because I'm reading the Marillion book right now, probably talks about some. Maybe at the point that I finish the Marillion book, I'll start reading Stephen Wilson. I have my Dredge book also, and then maybe I can actually start reading, or maybe get it done before the album comes out. But I don't question Stephen Wilson. He's very prolific is the best word. He's very good he's very good at finishing music and releasing it. Unlike a lot of artists, he works very fast and efficiently. Anyway, so then there's the list of all the likelies. From Agent Fresco, who I know people love, and I need to go back and listen to that album people were just going crazy of. It was like 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, I should have liked them more. I know, like, the Mew fans, a lot of fans of, like 22, and a bunch of those people just were also just trumpeting Agent Fresco, and I just didn't get that into them. But unlike some of the bands that are compared to Mew, I actually think I still could like them potentially. Anyway, Avenged Sevenfold, they have a new album out. I'll check it out. I like them. I'm not as obsessed, but given it's a new record, I'll probably see how much buzz there's about it. But one of their last album, I forgot the name of the stage, was their most progressive metal album. So it makes me a little more curious. Ben Sinister, yes, whatever they put out. Dan Mock just put the solo album. I think it's going to be coming out relatively soon because they haven't put out full length in now 5 years since Foolish Games. So they put out an EP in 2020. But Brian Scary, an artist that I really want to love, and I'm thinking it. I know they've been working. He's another prolific artist. It's actually a band. I don't know if it's a band and a person. Anyway, I follow him on Twitter and Instagram. Definitely active. It's probably will come out. He puts out almost something every year. Canvas Solaris. This is mainly because I think I spelled that wrong. This is supposed to be an L. Looks like an I. Anyway, I think that's Hunter Ginn from who's on the podcast with Radical Research with Jeff Wagner, who's now the new drummer of Sculpture too, which I don't know if Sculpture will put on something this year. Just put out an album 2 years ago, the first album in a long time, but yeah, just largely for that. If I'm following Radical Research, they'll probably be talking about that record if it does come out this year. Capital Cities, the sort of electronic pop, soul R&B band. They have Spencer Ludwig back, the trumpet player who had done his own solo stuff for a few years around the time of their second album. But I love both those records they put out, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Childish, and my wife actually likes them about as equally as much. Childish Japes, they have a double album featuring the vocals of Joanna Peters. Now, it kind of saddens me that I don't know if they'll ever work with Dave Ives again, the guy who's got such a great voice, a little bit like Jeff Buckley. But I love that record, and some of the other records I like, so I'm curious about this. Dirty Loops, yes. Dream Theater, I'm guilty, and I haven't really even listened to their last record, but we'll see. And there'll be a lot of buzz about it, of course, among the communities. Dream the Electric Sleep, yes. I mean, their last record I wasn't all that crazy about, but a couple of the records before that I loved. A Formal Horse, yes, I like both their records. Looking forward to whatever they do next. Giant Sky, really enjoyed the self-titled album. It's a side project from the guys from Soup. Definitely looking forward to it because that was a great record. Hotel the Laughing Tree. They sent me a message on Instagram a few months ago saying they have a new record they're going to put out, and it's supposed to be coming out pretty soon. So I could be getting a message or be hearing about it sometime in the next few days or weeks. It's been many years. They never finished, technically broke up, but New World Sundown just got remastered and put on Bandcamp. They put out like a B-sides collection, that Hotel Junk Box. But I'm curious. It's been many years. I'm curious what they might do now since it's been so long. But loved obviously their first album to death, that Tearing Everything After, and their second album was still pretty good, and a bunch of the EPs. Presence of Wolves, yeah, I think of them mostly from seeing them with the Reign of Kindo, but certainly I'll check it out if I get around to it. In Vain, definitely, even though I felt like Currents might be their weakest record. I don't know, I mean, they're kind of hit and miss, but hopefully, I liked Currents, but I loved their first album, The Latter Rain, and the album that came 2 albums after that. What am I spacing on? Enigma. Mantra was okay, but I'm very optimistic if they're going to put out new records. It's been, since Current, I think it's been like 5 years. It was 2018, 2017, maybe 6 years. King Gizzard, enough been said about them. They're probably putting out more records this year, just like the way they do with the multiple albums, I'm sure. Mayor Hawthorne, yes, I mean, he got married, so my wife is kind of sour on what the new album might be like, but I liked his last record. I liked the one before it a little more, although her and I think some of the fan base, my wife I'm talking about, kind of felt the opposite. They didn't like Man About Town as much as the last one, Rare Changes. I liked Rare Changes. I mean, I saw that, but I felt like Man About Town and then the previous 2 records, he had more. The songwriting was a little stronger. Well, of course, I think a lot of people think Where Does the Door Go is his masterpiece at this point. Never Ending White Lights, Act 4. I forgot about Jessie Ware's probably going to be putting on an album too. I didn't have her on this list, but Never Ending White Lights, Act 4. We're getting Never Ending White Lights, I'd be happy if we just get a song from Daniel, but I know he works the way he does, and so it's sort of become a little like some of these projects that, like Pepe Deluxe. How long did we wait? 9.5 years. So, and Pepe Deluxe is on their list. I know that they put out they're active on social media, and they put out some discussions about other instruments and stuff like that. But I don't know. It could be 5 or 10 years before the next Pepe Deluxe. Hopefully not. The Proto Man. A lot of people love that band. I kind of like them. They have a little bit of like a Meatloaf and Styx element. But it's been like a decade or something since their last record. So certainly something I'll check out. Kind of in the rock opera vein, a little bit like the Deer Hunter, a little bit like some other bands too. But Radical Face, it's been a while since Ben Cooper's put out something from. They put out an EP. I want to say it was 3 or 4 years ago. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan. It's the chamber folk kind of stuff. Ray Alder, Fate's Warning, is set to put out his second solo album. His first solo album I liked. In fact, I probably liked it a little bit more than the last Fate's Warning, sadly. So, and A to Z from last year, I was again lukewarm about. I liked, I don't know. I mean, I still like him as a singer, of course. I actually think I'm most optimistic about this record as opposed to some of the other stuff he's done recently. Run Rivers, he puts out singles constantly. So I don't know if he's going to put out a full album. The former singer of Stateless, who's been on a lot of the Monabi records, but I know he's going to put out music. I don't know if it'll be an album. And Self, the same thing. Although he's been said he wants to actually put out an album as opposed to a bunch of singles. It's just a matter of, is it going to be able to be coming out because he works in Hollywood? He just was at Sundance. He did a soundtrack to a film. His first time he's done that, the full soundtrack where he scored it and everything. Anyway, if the Self album comes out, that is a massive deal to me, of course, because I absolutely adore almost all his music, but the last EP, Super Fake Nice, is so good. Anyway, Small League Sing Ships, much of the same. They haven't really had anything I didn't like other than maybe their debut album, which is not bad, but their last 3 releases, the EP and the 2 full lengths, I love. So I cannot wait. The Bird and the Bee, I know that they're going to put out an album probably. Again, is it going to... Hopefully not another tribute album. I don't know. They did the Van Halen thing, and then they did Hall & Oates in the past. That's more for my wife, but I'll be listening to that for sure. Greg Kurstin, of course, has got tons of other stuff he's done. He's worked with the Foo Fighters to Adele to who knows who else, and he doesn't tour with them. So it's just really Anara George. The Ocean I'll put on here because someone was talking about them on one of my videos, asking if I liked them. I'm not really into the sludgy, slow, doomy, post metal generally. I'm not a fan of Sun O or Earth or Boris really. Not, or even Neurosis is one. Who's the band? There's another band that kind of fits. I mean, Isis, Pelican is another one. There's a whole bunch of bands in that style. Very limited. There's a Burst. I have lower down this list. Kind of earlier in their career were doing that. They became more progressive. I don't know. Maybe I need to give them more of a full shot. So, the Reign of Kindo. It seems like this is finally going to be the year. Because they were talking. I got a lot of the demos I was listening to, and I cannot wait for this record when it comes out. But it may not be this year. I don't know. Just because being on the Patreon, I've gotten access to hear more of their stuff. I don't want to burn out on those demos because then I'll be disappointed. Like the last record came out in 2018, Happy However After. I'd heard all those songs and they weren't new to me anymore. Unfortunately, I still liked it, but anyway, Weather Systems is basically supposed to be like Anathema continuing on, maybe without Danny. I don't know if it comes out as that, whatever, or this is a Danny project. I'm not sure. I'll be looking for it. I don't know why I'd put them on a likely though. They'd probably be a question mark. And yes is definitely putting on a new album. I listened to The Quest once. It was saccharine. I mean, it was better than Heaven and Earth, I guess. But it's just Yes in name. Whatever. It has Steve Howe, of course. Maybe they'll surprise me. I'd love them to surprise me. I'd like them to change a little bit of their style or something, but I don't think it's going to happen. So we have likes of Burst because they've been active the last few years. Dirt Poor Robins. They're doing another concept cinematic thing based on a classic werewolf story. It comes out, it's gonna be a huge deal. But if it doesn't come out this year, eventually they put out maybe a single or an EP or something. I don't know. It's a lot of time and money. They're gonna have to do a campaign probably. I know they have a Patreon, but I'm gonna totally eat it up if it comes out. Of course, Eldrin. Yes, if I don't know what they're doing. Their last album was this covers album. Of course, they had Misinformation Age that I absolutely love from 2018 that I got into a couple years ago. And Chant, Honorary Astronaut. See, I think if Casey Crescenzo doesn't put out anything from the Deer Hunter and new music, he'll probably try to put out another EP or something from the Honorary Astronaut name. And I like that EP a lot from a few years ago. I bought it and everything, of course. Imogen Heap. I'm not talking about that narrative thing she did for a podcast. She has songs, but I know she's been sort of apathetic about the whole music industry, about releases, albums, and all that stuff. I don't know. But if she does, I know she has the material. It's just a matter of how she wants to release it. Does she feel like she wants to release it the way she may have to release it, etc. Painless Salvation's The Deep End. I've seen conflicting, feelings about this, but the more I'm hearing of the last few weeks, the more I'm seeing the comments, it's probably going to come out. This album may be called The Deep End. This was material that a lot of it was, I guess, written and or recorded when they were doing Panther. So, but I know Daniel has been busy being a father, doing stuff with his kids, playing games, something like that. He's a lot of the stuff he talks about has nothing to do with his band, Pain of Salvation or anything like that on social media. But I wouldn't be surprised though. Like a year from now, we're sitting there and we've heard the Deep End or whatever it's called. And then, of course, this Anthems for Unwanted Wars from the Red Paintings, which is an album that they recorded and talked about. There's even a website to buy it, but you can't. It doesn't really work. It's supposed to come out a couple of years ago, but and then, of course, Dredge and Carnival. The Dredge thing, say this every bloody year. It's a broken record, of course, but I don't know how many of the vaults they sold. I think a lot of when it will come out, not a matter of if, but when it will actually come out, will be based on how well those vaults sold. We're going to get I didn't even include that, the El Cielo 20th anniversary, which probably won't be coming to our mailbox until sometime in the spring or even summer. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a massive deal if and when. I know Dino has been posting clips for like 9 months on Instagram. They don't stay up there, though, of course. And Carnival, they've been posting a lot of stuff to the mailing list. They've been playing live. Been doing this for a few years, but finally, one of these years, maybe we'll get a follow-up. I hope the production's good. Anyway, that's my sort of early 2023 albums preview anticipation. There's stuff, obviously, I'm not even thinking about. A lot of the regular bands that put out albums every couple of years, I'm not even include on here. I'll say that we're, almost the end of January here, January 30th. And, yeah, I mean, it's been kind of light. And from a standpoint of announcements, anticipation, there's not a lot of blue chips for me on here. There's some, but I think there's just stuff that hasn't been revealed. We might get a Van Aert record. I know he had an email. He's doing this other project with the guy from Biffy Clyro and a new project, like a live thing. And there's stuff that, that I'm not thinking of. King's X, I don't think we're going to get a new King's X. The documentary I just found out probably won't be till 2024. But they did record a lot of music for what was Three Sides of One, so there could be another King's X album at some point in the next few years. It may not be this year, though. I mean, the regulars you think about, Marillion, some of the favorites that have been, Pure Reason Revolution, Mew. I don't know what their status is right now. You named a lot of my favorite bands that are still active bands. That's I'm not really thinking about. Okay, this could be coming out. This could be coming out. But I'll of course post an update. I don't know if I'm going to do this like an anticipation and do like an update. I don't know, because I did that basically a lot last year and even some in 2021. So, but anyway, what are you looking forward to most this year? What's on this list, or what are you just looking forward to? I'd love to hear about it. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.